My name's Jaymi, and today we're going to be talking about biomechanics, aka the study of physics in the human body. So today we're going to be talking about specifically lever class systems and how we can determine, based on the exercise, what type of system we're using and how we can better use that information to program our workouts. A lever system is the distribution of forces between a load, effort, and fulcrum. Our fulcrum in this case is a joint similar to your elbow, knee, ankle, toes. Your load is the amount of weight that you might be moving, so something like a dumbbell, barbell, or even your body weight. And the effort is the applied force done by your muscle. Depending on the class, the lever system can help us determine how much weight our system can possibly handle in that given exercise. So, what are we waiting for? Let's jump on in and explore the 3 lever classes.
In Class 1 levers, the joint is in between the load and the effort forces. We can think of balancing these forces similar to a seesaw system on a playground, where the 2 forces tend to be able to balance each other out. You can see that the force is applied by the person pushing off the ground, and the load is the weight of the person who is not touching the ground. The joint is in between the 2 forces. It's a bit confusing, but the head and neck system is a good example. The muscles at the back of your neck work to keep your head upright. If they work too hard, your head rolls back and your face tilts up. If the muscles don't work hard enough, your head can fall forward. If you've ever fallen asleep sitting up, you might find your head either rolling forwards or backwards, since the muscles are not working well together to keep the head upright. Another example of a first-class lever system is a simple tricep extension. In this exercise, the tricep provides the applied force and the weight is the load. We have our fulcrum, or joint, in between at our elbow. You might notice that in this case, there is a much bigger difference between the distance from the elbow to the tricep versus the distance from the elbow to the weight. Typically, if we want to increase the amount of weight we're using in an exercise, we can focus on decreasing the distance between our fulcrum and our load. In Class 2 levers, the load is located between the effort muscle and the joint. This is similar to a wheelbarrow, where the weight in the belly of the wheelbarrow is adjusted by the axis, wheel, and supported by the effort force, the person holding the handles. Class 2 lever systems are sometimes harder to conceptualize because the fulcrum is not neatly in between the effort and load arms, which we often think is true. But that's okay, it still counts as a lever system. An example of this is a calf raise. We can lift our whole body weight, centered through the rear of our foot, just from our calf muscle, using our bendy toes. Because the distance from the joint to the muscle is longer than the distance from the joint to the load, this lever system is highly efficient. Another example of a second-class lever system is a push-up. Your load is your body mass, which is being supported by your upper body and hands. Your toes here act as the fulcrum. You might find using an incline for your push-ups helps you to get more reps. This is because you are redistributing the weight lower along your body's axis, making the length between your fulcrum and the load shorter. Minimizing this distance between fulcrum and load is key if we're trying to lift heavy. Finally, we've got Class 3 levers. This situation is where the effort muscle is located in between the joint and the load. This is similar to a shovel, where the fulcrum is the hand on the handle, the effort is being provided by the hand along the shaft, and the load is at the bed of the shovel. Similar to Class 2 levers, the fulcrum in Class 3 levers is off to one side. An example of this lever is the bicep and forearm system in a simple bicep curl. The bicep attaches to the forearm in front of the elbow joint with a tendon. Seeing the load arm further away from the joint than the effort arm can help us to identify this system. Since the load arm is so far away from the joint, this type of levered system tends to be weaker. This is why you can more easily lift your body weight by standing on your tippy toes, but it's much more common for people to max out on bicep curls at around 1/3 of their body weight, and even less if you're me. Another example of this is a lateral raise. If we pause this video of a front raise, we can see that the shoulder joint acts as the fulcrum, where the front delt is acting as the effort and the load is stretched out in front of us in our hand. An easy way that people can make front raises feel a little easier is also by bending at the elbow a bit. By reducing the length between the joint and the load, this movement just gets a tiny bit easier. This helps us connect our body with another fun physics topic, torque, but that's for another day. Something to keep in mind when evaluating your biomechanics during your next workout is the muscle insertion point. For example, you might think that the bicep muscle is past your elbow, yet if you look at the tendon, it stretches across the inner elbow into the forearm. As well, the joint that you choose to view as the fulcrum can change your perception and classification of the lever. For example, in a squat, you could pick the hips, knee, or ankle as the joint in the movement. The effort and load arrangements will then vary. In all cases, we can lift the most weight by maximizing the effort arm, that is, the distance between the working muscle and the joint, and minimizing the load arm, that is, the distance between the load and the joint. If you think you really understand lever systems, you might want to leave a comment below explaining why most weightlifters will be able to squat more weight in a low bar squat than in a high bar squat.
I hope you can take something away from this video to help you program your workouts in a smarter and more effective way. Enjoy those muscles!